No dog sold or raised for illegal purposes. This is a historical and entertainment-based channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, yeah. Episode 49, yeah. Yeah. A look back at Shady Bill. The mystery of Calvin Krebs. Introducing the Dog of Interest files. Let us analyze the evidence on this episode of Bulldog Court. Bulldog community, please rise. This is your host, Get a Hold James, because we got to get a hold of the game.
Court is now in session.
Yo. This is your boy, Get a Hold James, because we got to get a hold of the game. I'm so happy that you could join me tonight. You could have been anywhere else in the Bulldog streets, but you decided to come kick it with your boy. And I'm so happy that you did. You underdid. I'd like to thank everybody for checking out last week's Bulldog Court episode 48. I'd like to thank everybody who checked out all of the captivities that we had on that evening, you know, from the court cases to the live after show. Oh man, we just had a real good time. And you know, then on the after show, you know, my Cap brothers came in to join me, the young legend King T, Pressure Kenner Combines. And then, man, we had a special guest, man. Going Hard Twin number 2 came up in there. Oh man, couldn't tell me nothing all week. Nose far up in the air. And we got Twin 2 to step out. Twin 1 always on the move, checking out the different shows. But if we got Twin 2 to come on, not just come on this, you know, not just come into the chat room, but come on the show, I think we did something. But I'm not going to prolong the time. For my first case, a look back at Shady Bill. First of all, I'd like to thank Victorious I Am for suggesting this case and the mysteries that have circulated behind this animal as far as his coat appearance and the dogs that are behind him and the contrast within these various colorings. So also too, I like to give a, you know, special shout out to Texas Finest Kennels, you know what I'm saying? Salute to them and all the fine work that they do over there at their kennel. But let us look further into this. When we look at the pedigree of Little Bill, it is, you know, good looking buckskin black man's dog, you know. And when we look at his pedigree, we see him where he is off of Mountain Man's Elwood, which is off of Grand Champion Rebels. And also he is off of Elwood bred to Grand Champion Shady Lady. So, you know, if you know anything about that, this was a sister brother breed. Elwood and Shady Lady were brother and sister. And it's a lot of black dogs like La Passe Buster, Morgan Sandy, Mountain Man's Homer, Blackie, Mountain Man's Susie, aka Bennett's Blackie. In these, you know, in the third generation. So a bunch of black dogs. But yeah, he came out with the buckskin black mask. And I think there's a question about whether or not he is really offered that. You would have to go to the 4th generation to actually see anything remotely red or buckskin in the pedigree, or maybe the 5th, because Flores Lady, you would have to go back to Flores Lady is off of Stompanato, which is a black and white dog, but bred to a Creole female. So that way you got the brunt of the buckskin, you know, you'll have those dogs in there. But that's the 4th or 5th generation when you'll see them. And the 4th generation also too is Arch Missy that produced La Passe Buster. Red, you know, white and red, you know, have known for throwing some red and white, but not quite buckskin, maybe a few. But That is as far back. So the coat of Shady Bill could in fact be a throwback. But the only thing I see when I look forward in the pedigree, I was just going through the pads and I see dogs like Elite Kennels Tootsie, 2-time winner. And when I went on it, it was not a picture of the dog, but in fact a picture of the whole litter. I believe this is the entire litter that he came out of, that Tootsie came out of. And as you can see, all buckskin black mass dogs being bred to, Shady Bill was bred to Elite's War Child, which is a half Dupreel's Charlie B, Heavy Rascal through the Woods Billy Jack, with a little bit of Jeep through Dupreel's Jill, Register of Merit. Okay. So still majority all Rascal, Heavy Rascal, Eli dogs, bunch of black dogs, just a touch of Jeep. But in my opinion, this is only my opinion, and you in the Bulldog community can come forth with whatever evidence you say that may contrary to what I'm saying at this point. I believe that this has, the buckskin, if there has been any change, it happened before the breeding that I just mentioned. I repeat, it happened before the breeding I mentioned. Now, the reason why I say that he could not be a part of the original litter, or they really bred some Jeep stuff, in my opinion, to get Shady Bill. They bred some Jeep stuff. Now, if anybody can tell me that were there any animals coming out Shady Bills with those type of characteristics, I would be glad to hear that from the Bulldog community. But from what I can see, things changed after Shady Bill. A lot of more buckskin black mass showing a lot of Jeep-ish characteristics, maybe Carver characteristics, the buckskin, the black muzzle, the black on the tail, just take a look at the pictures of those feet, those puppies. They have the black tail. So I'm curious to see what the Bulldog community has to say about this. We understand that genetics can throw a throwback from at least 4 or 5 generations back, and you can see that. But there's not a lot in that first 4, and black is a very dominant gene pool. That color is very dominant. Usually when your dogs go black, it take a long time for them to come back, whatever the original color was. I heard Schoolboy talking about that when it came to the OTK dogs, or his dogs, the big red dogs. When OTK put some more Eli into the pedigree, the dogs turned black. They began to be majority black for a long time, and now they are just now, maybe I guess a decade later, flipping back over to becoming where it's majority buckskin and red, and maybe a few black dogs. So it will go back and forth. If you continue to breed within that family, they will go back and forth. So as it pertains to Shady Bill, I can't properly see where the buckskin black mass would come in at, other than way back in the pedigree. So it leads me to believe that is where it came from, or it could be some funny business going on to where somebody put a buckskin dog in there, either as the sire instead of it being off of, the Sundance, or off of the sire that it originally supposed to be off of, being off of a Jeep dog. In my estimation, I just put that in there. But I look forward to hearing your comments. If you have any information on this as to why Shady Bill buckskin out of all them generations of black dogs, and he continued to throw buckskin dogs after that, almost like a Zebo-ish situation, or a Vindicator-ish situation.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog.
Where they never really told what each one of them were, even though they were brothers.
Come on, man.
Really, never threw that. But in the case for a look into Shady Bill. This case is now dismissed. We'll get back to the show after these important messages.
Check out one of the best dog talk shows out here, Bulldoggin' with Bo, on Dogman TV, Thursdays and Sundays 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Shout out to his co-host, Nonstop.
Oh yeah, and now for my second case. The mystery of Calvin Krebs. Let us look into this. When we look at Calvin Krebs, we see where there is a story behind him, which we will examine and told through the eyes and the memories of some of the old timers of the Carolinas. Got a story about it. Like to hear it go.
Calvin Krebs, old-timer from the hills that I met 40 years ago, friends with Long, Cable, Hughes, and got dogs directly from Stidham and Lonzo. He was maybe the most nicest and most honest man I met when I first got into the dogs. He worked at a yarn mill and would take the wooded crates that spindle were shipped in and make some amazing dog houses. He could not read very well and thus did not register his dogs. He was up in years but was a serious dog man and chicken man. Cable told me that Krebs beat Teal with one of his dogs, and Teal came back the next day and bought 4 or 5 of his dogs. Unregistered but with a scribble pedigree. Who knows how Teal registered them? He checked his dogs thoroughly and was so insightful. I once asked him about a particular red dog on his yard, if he was any good. His reply was simply, "He's still here, ain't he?" However, I tell this because he sold dogs to all the guys from South Carolina and Georgia without papers. He swore that Bass bought Red Boy from him with no papers. I asked why he didn't say anything, and he told me there was nothing he could do, and besides, he got good money and he was Bass' dog now. His later comments, "Besides, in a few years, nobody is going to remember us anyway." The sentiment rang true with all the old guys. They never knew the explosion of the dog game, and the ramifications of their actions would ripple throughout history, leaving us to wonder the true origins of the dogs. Calvin Krebs was one of the best.
I'm already knowing that it's going to be somebody who they're going to say, "Oh man, here come another story about Red Boy. Somebody trying to rearrange the story. Why don't y'all leave it where it's at? Bass and them found that dog on side the road or tied up somewhere or
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
in a park somewhere or whatever the story may be." But this is yet another story that must be addressed. Mr. Young addressed it on the interview with PBK. He talked about Mr. Krebs. So many people who were up there, Lonzo, Mr. Cable, Lester Hughes, all of them knew Calvin Krebs. So it's not like we talking about some kind of fictional character somebody made up. These are some of the most impactful Carolina dog men of their time, and they are saying that yes, that guy, and not only was that guy around, but he had some really good dogs, and he was whooping a lot of the top people like Teal. So I could believe that. That happens a lot in the dog game where somebody can get beat and then you creep over there and say, "Hey man, can I get one of them dogs? You know, what was that y'all was using on me, man? Y'all put the brakes on me right fast. I kind of want to know what that is. You mind if I get one? Thank you." And you know, like I said in the story, like they said in the story, cause that's not my story, it's somebody that's a, you know, well-known Carolina dog man that wrote that, and he talked about, you know, Teal going back over there and getting 4 or 5 dogs from the man, you know. And like I said, Other people have stated that they believe that, you know, all that, I found him in the park and all this different stuff, and all of a sudden he got a pet, and I bought him from a little kid for $1 or whatever stories you want to make up about him, that he actually was purchased from an African American dog man, you know, and was, you know, put the false papers on him, which happens a million times to one. Like now, as we begin to investigate these different stories from the past, we seeing where a lot of these people, you know, falsify papers many times. I had a great conversation with my brother, my cat brother King T, and we were talking about how many times we see and we're trying to sit up here and philosophize these pedigrees and try to put this one with that one and see that work, because see, when you see the black shine right here, see, or when you see Red Boy right there and see how that tied in with Kobe Dime, and that dog probably maybe never had a piece of dime or the time to have a dime in the pedigree, because it has absolutely no pedigree other than the one that Calvin Krebs scribbled on a piece of paper that he knew of, or the way he put it together. But the thing of it is that when you'll disregard that paper, that paper may not have lasted but 2 or 3 miles down the road after he got those dogs, and he probably slung that paper out of the window that Mr. Krebs wrote. And so that's the way that probably went, because he's like, nah, you ain't got to worry about me giving you no credit, buddy. These gonna be Till Jeff dogs from now on. Gonna give my dog some claim, because the real Till Jeff dog might have been straight. Ooh. Broke wind. It's straight, you know. Yeah. And so I got to make them into something. I got to go to the brother man over here and get me something that is something that gonna be worthy to get victories and give my name some kind of claim. But this is just something I'm proposing to the Bulldog community. What do you all think? Never mind what I think. Never mind my proposal. This is what I'm just laying out before the Bulldog community. Have you ever heard of Calvin Krebs? To all my Carolina dog men, does that name ring a bell to you? Have you heard some of the OGs mention this man's name? You know, and just like he said in the story, you know, he thought that nobody would remember his name, but as you can see, it's some good dog men who never forgot where Red Boy really came from, or if not, the contributions that Calvin Krebs gave to the Bulldog world in the game, and how he supplied a lot of other people, you know, back in my home state of Georgia and also South Carolina, you know, their dogs. So if you've heard about that, you know, even my Georgia cats that might have some OGs that might know about it, my South Carolina cats who might know, you know, about this man, Calvin Krebs, you know, I look forward to seeing your comments. I look forward to seeing the dialogue when we go on the live as we begin to further discuss this case and what the verdict is as the Bulldog community decides which way the tide may roll. And once again, I think it's, like I said, I think it's always funny how when somebody bring another story up, people will go against that story with all they might.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog.
But in reality, hey man, was you there back then? Oh, okay, you wasn't there back then, so why is you fighting so hard tooth and nail about a story that you don't know if it's true or not? You wasn't there and probably don't even know nobody else that was there. You just heard that one story and you don't want to have to go against that story. So you say, hey man, why y'all changing it? Just leave that lie. Let that dog's lie. Or let that cap stay on that cap, on that dog head. Don't take that cap off that dog head, man, cause now we got the chain caps and I don't want to see no another cap on that dog head. He already got 2-3 other caps by some other controversy. Man, just leave the cap alone, man. Leave the cap on it. I'm gonna put some staples in his scalp. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure that nobody can't take that cap off his head, man. Come on, leave it like it is. And see. that's where we find problems. So in the case of the mystery of Calvin Krebs, this case is now dismissed. Oh yeah, now it's time for my third and final case. My third and final case is not really a case. It is simply dogs of interest. There are no charges or pending allegations up against them at this time, but this is simply a time that I will dedicate from time to time to just dogs of interest. Dogs that some of the people in the bulldog community may be interested in, have not heard, seen any one of these animals or anything out of these animals, just trying to see if we could get an APB out on some of these animals or their lineage. The first one is YCSU's Cholo. CHOLO. This dog is inbred. He's from a few years ago, maybe 2018, 19, somewhere around in there. Heavy grand champion Fritz, you know, that's some Magnum blood, with some Red Boy Jocko, Eli, and Jenkins blood. That's right, Jenkins. Oh man. Ahoy, motherfucker! Any whereabouts of this blood, please contact Sporting Dog Archive with an S, Sporting Dog Archive with the S on the end at gmail.com, or leave a message in the chat with your email and I'll get in touch. The next one is one that I have heard before but never have seen, like the Loch Ness Monster, heard a lot about, never have seen, and that is CMD's Boy George. Raghead on top, you know. Heavy Jenkins on bottom, with a touch of little Elvis Elvira sprinkled in there on that bottom side, I believe. Bred immaculate, if you know what you are looking at. Just need an APB. Anybody gotta, you know, throw a kite in the air for some of these animals. And you know, and I may do this from time to time for my third and final case. And so if you need an APB out on an animal that you may be looking to breed to or get stuff down off of, feel free to hit me up at sportingdogarchives@gmail.com. That is with an S. Archives with an S. Snakes with an S. And let me know and give me a brief description of the animal, just as I did these two animals, how they're bred. Maybe, you know, give a pedigree number for those that might need a closer look at it, you know, and, you know, a brief synopsis of this animal. So this is just something that I knew that I'm bringing forth to the bulldog community. Some people have very particular tastes when it comes to breeding. They will let a dog sit for many years without breeding this animal because they want the right animal to put with this brood female that they have, or female that they have, or male that they have. And they are very particular about how they breed these animals. This is not for the faint of heart, not for the, you know, a lot of the YNs they saying today that, you know, lack of a great amount of patience. You know, I don't know what you're even doing in the game if you don't have patience. I mean, you probably gonna end up getting run out the game without patience. So this is my case. So for the case of dogs of interest. This case is now dismissed. Oh yeah, and now it's time for my closing monologue. Like I say every time, make your next move your best move, but move strategic like a chess move. It's starting to warm up out here, man. Get your treatment together. Make sure your animals got plenty of water, and not just water, clean water, man. Wash them buckets out, man. Don't be lazy out here. But this is your host. Get a hold, James, because we got to get a hold of the game. I'm out.
Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and tell a dogman or woman about the Sporting Dog Archive.